Alright, friends and foes, if you were a child growing up in the late 90s or early 2000s and you watched cartoons, chances are really high that you fell into one of two different categories. You were either a Pokemon girly who had to catch them all, or a Digimon girly wanting to be your best Digidestined self with your best Digimon partner ever. As for me, I was both, but this isn't about me. This is about... Or to be more specific, this is about Digimon, the movie! Or the Digimon movie. Realistically, I'm gonna use those two terms interchangeably because the name of it is literally Digimon, the movie. But as a small child watching it for the first time, I knew it as the Digimon movie because there was only one Digimon movie. Before we get into it though, what even is Digimon, right? Digimon is this adventure series about these kids who during summer camp get isekai'd into the digital world. The digital world both is and is not the internet at the same time. It's like this weird hybrid of our world and this digital fantasy land. These kids find out that they have destined partners that are kind of like Pokemon, but instead of Pokemon, they're called Digimon. And instead of catching them all, you only get one, but that one Digimon is consistently changing into other Digimon depending on the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you put into them. And the entire series is really about these kids discovering who they are and overcoming each of their individual, specific childhood traumas, on top of trying to save the digital world from these evil Digimon. The plotline is just good enough for engaging children into, the 20-minute episodes that were the Fox Kid TV shows. You didn't even get 20 minutes because commercials existed, but you know what I mean. As for Digimon the movie, guys, this movie is actually 3 different OVA specials in a trench coat masquerading as one consecutive plotline, and it takes place over the course of 3 different summers that exist between the first 2 groups of Digidestins that you ever see in the original anime series. The first OVA follows baby versions of Tai and Kari as they meet their first ever Digimon. There's a brief call out to Sora because she's mad at Tai, but that's her screen time. That's what she gets. It's cute, it's funny, and it packs a lot of storytelling into an itty-bitty living space. A Digi-Egg comes out of Tai and Kari's computer. There's a bunch of funny dialogue, a lot of witty voiceover happens. The Digi-Egg hatches into Botamon, which quickly evolves into Koromon. There's more witty dialogue, there's more voiceover. Koromon digivolves into Agumon, and then the real adventure begins. Kari, itty-bitty little baby Kari, hops onto Agumon's back, and they start exploring the city as only the bestest of boys and their best friend can. If you've ever seen My Neighbor Totoro, think of it as when the kids get on the cat bus, except it's a little bit more adventure that's happening. There's only one kid, Kari, and she's on the back of a giant yellow dinosaur. Or maybe a miniature dinosaur? Because Agumon's really big, but compared to dinosaurs, he's... Anyway, so they jump out of the apartment complex, start exploring the city, and Tai, in a panic, trying his best to be a big brother, stumbles out after them. Now, it's really important to remember here that, these are really tiny versions of these characters. Tai is maybe, 5 or 6 years old, I think, and Kari is even younger. She's, 3 or 4. Now, this is an anime and anime ages, so these characters could actually be much younger or much older than that. It's really hard to tell sometimes. If I can find the ages, I'll put them here. So while they're out exploring, stealing soda but still being super responsible, a much larger Digi-Egg just plops out of the sky. How either of these eggs show up, it's never explained. Why these 2 Digimon, one good and one apparently evil, enter the human world is also a mystery.
Mystery.
These questions are never answered, and as the tiny, teeny bopper audience that the special is targeting, none of us really cared. What we cared about was that there are these 2 Digimon in the, quote, real world, and the Digimon fight, and Agumon evolves into Greymon, which leads to one of the best, or at least one of my favorite anime lines in history.
I'm Greymon now.
You can be whoever you want, big guy.
Thanks, Tai. You rule. That line has stayed with me forever. More fighting. Greymon's about to lose, and now Pause, y'all. This movie came out in the year 2000. I was 10 years old. It is now 2025, and I am 35 years old. My daughter is 8 years old. Over 2 decades and a child later, I am watching this film and I am getting hyped all over again. Greymon is going down. My emotions are raw and wild. My daughter's emotions are raw and wild. She doesn't even know what Digimon is, but this special is so engaging that she is automatically attached to this little yellow dinosaur that is now a much bigger yellow dinosaur. Kari tries to wake Greymon up. It doesn't work. She uses the whistle, because that's always worked on Tai. He said so.
It worked on me.
It doesn't work. Tai grabs the whistle, takes in a huge breath, and it was nostalgia hype for me, first time hype for my kiddo. My husband, who's also watching it with us, he's shaking his head, looking at us nerds fondly, but don't worry, we've got the Pokemon first movie for him for another day. Obviously, after this, Greymon gets up, he throws some hands, and just like that, the special is over. This entire special takes place over the course of maybe 15 minutes, and after the big fight, it's the end. Both Digimon kind of disappear back into data, and Tai and Kari go back to their regular lives. In fact, they forget this ever happens. Not only do they forget this ever happens, I think, if I remember right, later in the first season, Tai has this flashback segment, I think it's 1 or 2 episodes long, of where he remembers a time where Kari got sick, but he doesn't remember how Kari got sick, and I'm pretty sure, piecing things together, that Kari got sick in the special, and that's why she was sick in Tai's memory, but neither of them seem to have a memory of this specific adventure, even though it does get picked back up again later. I don't know. Look, consecutive storylines in Digimon do not go together. But that's the end of the first OVA special, and it did everything that I needed to do, both when I was a kid and watching it again as an adult. So much happens in that very short amount of time, and as hype as that 15-minute experience was, it's the second OVA that shines brightest in my little nostalgia brain. Now, it's important here to mention that my experience with Digimon, and specifically the Digimon movie, is and has always been the dubbed version. The reason this is important is back in the 2000s, dubbing focused less on being as true as possible to its original voice cast, and instead focused on translating the storyline in a way that an American audience, specifically American children, would best understand. Sometimes that means turning rice balls into donuts, rapping about the grand line,
That happened! Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.
and painting on bathing suits for anyone taking an outdoor bath. In the case of Digimon, it meant covering up silences with millennial humor. That's right, my multi-gendered friendos. The English dub of Digimon is filled to bursting with punny dad jokes.
Looks like a cross between a jellyfish and a contact lens.
It's with more food.
More food? What does he expect to find? A grocery store? Nobody's coming over, Mom.
Oh, that's all right. I only have 2 beans anyway.
Well, do you know what a semiconductor is?
A guy who works part-time on a train?
Never mind.
And I loved every second of it. These jokes made the entire movie so incredibly quotable that I caught myself cackling and saying the lines right before they landed. And I did this until my daughter very kindly but firmly told me that voice actors exist for a reason and I'm not one of them. She didn't, but it would have been funny if she had. So, in this second OVA, fast forward past the Digimon Emperor's plotline, but still many years before our second round of Digidestins hit the scene, and it's once again summer vacation, because that's where everything happens. Otherwise, well, the kids are in school. What are they supposed to do? Sora's mad at Tai again, cell phones don't exist, and the internet, well... Once again, a Digiag has appeared in a computer. This time it's evil! And this newly hatched evil Digimon wants to cause chaos and destruction, because reasons that are given later. This time, our main group that are fighting is Tai, Izzy, and eventually Matt and TK. All the other Digidestins are busy being kids and doing kid things like going to birthday parties, being mad at their not boyfriends, voluntarily attending summer school, and randomly going to Hawaii because money, I guess? To be fair, Matt and TK are busy too, but as best boys, they do come through. And realistically, as someone who grew up in a small town, seeing Matt and TK like huddled up into the only computer with internet in the entire village and just being like, shut up, these are my best friends. It's wonderful. I love Matt. I love TK. I would probably have watched an entire series of adventures just surrounding those two and their Digimon. But until that happens, Ty and Easy are left on their own to load up their Digimon into the internet and go fight that Digimon! I'm not gonna lie, most of the plotline here is made more interesting with the witty one-liners and bickering between the characters. I didn't quite follow the chaos happening with the evil Digimon and only registered a bad character doing bad things for most of it. The fights were fights, and both the evil Digimon and the good Digimon trade blows back and forth a few times. The internet goes out, the phones go out, Ty gets yelled at by an AI that technically shouldn't exist until this year.
You hear me?
What?
It's busy!
I'm sorry, lady.
Ty uses phone tag to catch TK and Matt up on everything that has been happening, and after a little bit of adventuring, TK and Matt are able to join in the fight. And of course, we have to have the moment that shows the strong bond that Matt and TK have as brothers. When Patamon is down and out and TK is devastated, Matt comes in as the bestest of big bros. And anyone who has ever wanted a big brother figure, like, that hits home. That's like, oh, right in my feels. Though it's also a little bit hypocritical because of something that happens a little bit later. Oh, and America's about to shoot missiles at different random locations against its will, thanks to evil Digimon, because that's apparently what America does in anime sometimes. That part seemed kind of important. And honestly, now that I think about it, I'm kind of surprised that they did not either change the country of origin for that or took that part out, like took the fact that it was America out entirely, considering that this was the dubbed version and dubbed versions are known for making edits like that. So, you know, since they stuck true to it, I'm gonna give props to the dub director there. Now, remember like 2 seconds ago when I brought up that it was hypocritical of Matt to tell TK that he could not physically go through the computer screen and rescue Patamon? Yeah, I said it came later, but it comes like really, really quickly because my memory's crap. Anyway, so what was more important is the most emotional scene happens in all of Digimon.
TK, I'll come back again if you...
The second most emotional scene in all of Digimon. The third most emotional scene in all of... Look, it's an emotional scene. It's a big impact. Digimon's known for this. The scene goes, Metal Greymon and Metal Garurumon are losing, you guys. There have been these floods of people that really want to help. You know, those thoughts and prayers really slowing the guys down. They can't move. And it looks like Diaboromon, the evil Digimon, might be about to win. Ty and Matt are distraught. My 10-year-old self is distraught. My 35-year-old self is distraught. My 8-year-old daughter is clutching her hand to her heart and gazing in emotional damage at the screen. And then, as if our very own real-life emotions are connected with these characters, Matt and Ty phase through their computers and go to the aid of their Digimon. Though they are talking about fan mail in the fictional universe, it feels like Matt and Ty are telling their Digimon about how much we as the viewers care about them, that we want them to get back up, to keep going, and win. This is where Digimon has always hit the strongest, the rawest, the most emotional beats. This is why, even when things don't make sense, you overlook all of that. But most importantly of all, in this emotional scene, it works. It works so well that you actually, like, it feels like all of your raw emotions are flowing into the Digimon and they fuse together. Omnimon is born. It's the first that I know of Digimon fusion, and it's got kids and Digimon and all these things are happening. Izzy figures out how to hit the mass forwarding button, and what follows is a super hyped digital masterpiece of Diaboromon catching these hands. And then it's over. Ty and Matt return to the real world. Sora gets Ty's email. The missile crisis is resolved. And that's it. That's the Digimon movie. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time. Okay, well, fine. There is a third special in Digimon the movie, but whereas the first two felt deliberate and made with care, this third one just kind of felt more Mod Podge together with what was remaining of those magazines people used to cut pictures out for mood boards. You see, apparently there weren't just 2 Digimon that showed up all the way back in the first special, but there were 4. 2 in Japan that we saw, and then 2 in America that belonged to this kid named Willis. And in the second special, that same Digidestined Willis in America, he tried to create a Digimon because he has the academic intelligence of Izzy with the common sense of Tai. It didn't go well, which created the internet evil Digimon, Diaboromon, and the end of that, said Digimon infected a real Digimon, which has apparently been terrorizing Willis and Terriermon ever since. A good thing now, much older Kari and TK just happened to be visiting New York because, instead of going to Hawaii for summer vacation, Mimi lives in New York because reasons, and they just happened to run into Willis because Kari is psychic. Kari and TK alert the new Digidestins, who manage to also make their way to America thanks to Yoli's magical family.
We're using my uncle's frequent flyer miles, and certain restrictions apply. I have an uncle who lives here in Houston, and he has an account with them. Bye, Uncle Fred! Thanks for the lift! Goodbye!
And meet up with Willis before Kari and TK, thanks to Davis's Luckstat? ? There's a lot of bickering, lots of lone wolfing, lots of, where the heck is Ken? Why isn't Ken here? Seriously, why isn't Ken in this? Does he just not exist anymore? I'm pretty sure when the Digimon are as strong as they are in this part of the series, Ken is already Ken. He's no longer the Digimon Emperor. So where did he go? I don't know. But he's not there, and there are a few more witty one-liners.
I have to do this by myself. I need to be alone.
Great, I'll go with you.
It's also entirely possible that this specific section of Digimon the movie is the only reason I knew any of the popular songs at all from the late 90s and early 2000s. But outside of that, honestly, it felt like the writers needed a bad guy for the specials of 1 and 2, but then they realized they needed a way for it all to make sense and connect, and then just kinda went with it. My daughter gave up a few seconds into the third special. She was just like, nah, man, these Digimon just keep fighting each other, and it's really sad. Can I go now?
Hey, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?
You're excused.
And, that's understandable. It's understandable. And my husband stuck around with me because, my cute kitty face is still on point. And Willis and his Digimon are cool characters. He functions well in the role of the super depressed Digidestin who doesn't believe he belongs in the group. And that also works out really well, considering this whole movie is about how his Digimon got infected with a virus that he created and has been tormenting him and apparently making the people around him just, disappear. But we never see any of these people or figure out how or why they disappear. We're just told that they disappear.
Kokomon makes everyone who tries to help me disappear, like I'll bet he did to your friends TK and Kari.
So Willis is trying to do what the infected Digimon wants him to do and is just consistently failing until he finds his group of friends and friendship solves everything, even though it doesn't really do anything. Realistically, this entire special could have been solved by TK and Kari just kidnapping Davis and then going, hey, befriend this kid and let's fight your evil Digimon partner who isn't evil but isn't evil, and it's all your fault but it's not actually your fault. It's really, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I stopped paying attention again. I don't think I've ever paid too much attention to this specific portion of Digimon the movie because, I don't know, I keep saying that it's nonsensical and plotless, but the first two are also kind of nonsensical and plotless. I think it has more to do, I have more of a nostalgic attachment to the first two parts of the movie. And since both of them have a beginning, middle, and end, by the time you get to the third special, it's just like you're watching something for the third time over again. It doesn't feel like one consecutive movie at all, and I think that might have a big part of it. But there were some really, really cool parts. I like how they manipulate the pizza delivery driver. I'm not sure how that worked. Kids, don't randomly call delivery people and then ask for a ride. I know Uber is a thing that exists nowadays, but it's not the same. Please don't do it. Just don't do it. Just remember that your Digimon can Digi-Armor energize into something that you can ride and go on your digital adventures that way. It works the most efficiently and the best, and that is what you should get from this part of the movie. And it's nice to see the dynamic that he has between himself and Davis, but he's like never mentioned again, by the way. Like, in fact, at the end of the movie, they're like, "You're not alone, Willis. You'll never be alone again. You're one of the Digi-Destiny." He never shows up again. I do not remember ever seeing this kid after this movie. Probably, though, it's because he's the DNA Digivolution of TK and Ken, so they didn't really need to bring him back. Though Willis is responsible for the last most quotable line in the movie.
He's tone deaf.
But, you know, it's a Digimon movie. It happened. There was fighting. There was some, feely good, happy moments. Personally, I'm happy that the Digimon movie existed, and I would love to see it get a facelift. Being able to share this absolute roller coaster of nostalgia and dad jokes with my family was an experience I never expected to need as much as I did. As someone who grew up constantly desiring to share my passions with others, this was a great time. So, TLDR, if you haven't watched the Digimon movie or Digimon the movie, you totally should. At least the first two specials. Especially if you've ever watched the original Digimon anime. If you have watched it, you should watch it again and see if it holds up as well for you as it did mostly for me. But you know what? That's kind of all I've got to say here for now, friends and foes. Until next time, this is Lulu Soul, logging out. I'm probably going to go watch some more anime, read some manhwa. Goodbye.